Good evening, guys. This is Cash Rocket, and I'm about to sign off for the night. So just wanted to share a few setups on my ideas watch list for tomorrow, which would be Tuesday, September 11th. I'm just going to sort the stocks basically from highest price to lowest price. Otherwise, there's no particular favorites or order here. Starting off with Norfolk Southern, you can see there's a lot of bullish action in this rail name, and actually the rails are doing well as a group, and it just broke out here from a consolidation pattern. So really, you want to buy this on weakness. You can go out to January, you could do October, pretty much whatever you like. Sarepta, not much happening right now, but there is some major deep in the money um, and far out of the money for what it's worth. Calls in open interest. It's got some insider buying. Hedge funds are involved. Keep your eyes on that one. Splunk, a nice little pattern here after it broke out after earnings. Also got some option activity listed at the top of the chart. Software is a pretty hot sector, so a good name to keep an eye on. Pepsi, about to break out from this descending trend line and generate a volatility stop buy signal. Also, lots of bullish option action noted on the chart there. And if there's a flight to safety over the next 1 to 2 months, you might see a bid on this one and look for a test of the highs around 117. Dell posted this one on the weekend. Tried to break out today, didn't do much overall, but if you look at the option action in the corner, you'll see that the biggest action ultimately takes us out to a target of 105 out in January. So lots of time to get involved in this one. Xylem, a few notes here. I know some good traders on Twitter are involved with this one. You can see that it's moving up on nice volumes, broke out to a new high today and saw some further action on in the money calls in October. So looking for a move to about 82, 83, something like that. CSX, just mentioned this one. This might be one of my favorite setups actually right now, just because it's pulled back to the 21 EMA, maintaining its VSB status, and NSC and UNP have already pulled out into the lead. I'll show you a quick chart of UNP. That one's also already busted on a nice volume. So when you look at CSX, looks like it's just a matter of time before this one makes its move. And there have been some nice call buys and risk reversals over the last month and a half. INXN doesn't look like much. Looks like a bunch of garbage actually when you look at it this way. But when I zoom out, maybe looking like that, you can see that it's sort of trading in this range with an expected measured move of about $5-6. So look for it to move to the low 70s. Anyways, hopefully by April, which is when that risk reversal was put on about 10 days ago. Match Group saw some speculative out of the money call buying today. And, I don't really play this name very much, but you can see that it's moving to new highs once again and might be good for like a Momo trade. We got Canopy Growth, marijuana stocks. You know how I feel about those. Pretty much buy the dip on this until further noted. Use your 8 EMA as a trailing stop. Hasn't closed below it since pretty much mid-August. There were some buyers today of the April 80 calls, which is the furthest out you can go at the furthest strike. And those 80 calls are quite out of the money. So somebody is looking for a big move from here. Once again, buy the dip on this one and use a trailing stop. Tapestry, I got nailed on this one a few days ago for about $860. So I was pretty pissed off about that, but it is bouncing at the 50 EMA, so might take a stab at this one again. If it can get back over the 80 EMA and maybe break through that trend line. It did move higher today on increased volume, so just a matter of time to see how this one plays out. Retail's been good, but this one kind of shot the bed last week, and I'm just hoping to see if it can prove itself before I think about getting involved again. Campbell Soup, what can I say? There's a shit ton of option action in this name. August, September, November, January. The chart is nothing to look at, but all you need to do is get involved to some degree and watch yourself wake up one morning to a 10% pop overnight. There's some activist investors involved, and anyways, it could make a move also if there's a flight to safety, as it is a consumer staples name with a reasonable dividend. Then you got KNX. This is new to my radar. Nice option action today, and when I did a bit of investigation all the way back to the beginning of August, somebody's been loading up on calls and call spreads all the way out to November. Broke through a little consolidation pattern here, but basically a gap down after earnings and then filled the gap and then some today. And I've got a target of the 200 moving average on there, since that would seem like a form of natural resistance based on prior trading history. And that's still a good 4 or 5 points from here. So again, I would buy this on any weakness and use the prior day's low as a stop if you're worried about anything like that. You don't have earnings to worry about. So just looks like a good short-term tactical trade on my end. GLPI, Gaming and Leisure Properties. I'm not a huge fan of this one. You can see the stock's pretty much been decimated over the last year. Hasn't really done anything, but if it can, make it over those moving averages right there and turn into a vol stop buy signal, it might be worth a run for a point or so. And somebody's been picking up some cheap calls here, so there might be something to it. KDP, Keurig Dr Pepper. I really think one has a great shot at being a home run trade. This was the former Green Mountain Coffee Roasters that was acquired by Dr Pepper, if you guys recall back in the day. Somebody opened up some cheapy calls here as well. If it can break through this descending channel and break through and generate a VSB signal maybe tomorrow or the next day over 2350, I don't see why this thing couldn't just pop to 25 over the next few months and turn this into a triple or quadruple. We'll see how it goes. Cabot Oil and Gas, not really an oil and gas trader here, but somebody did load up on some October 23 calls today when I did a bit of digging. There's also some sizable open interest in the Jan 25s. And when I zoom out to a 1 year chart, you can see that this 2150 or so has provided some pretty good support. In fact, if you go even further back, it's got really nice support around that area, going back even to 2017. So if you like the name, if you like the object or the idea, of mean reversion, you could take this trade up for a trade back up to the 200 MA, use a stop below yesterday's low, and great risk reward otherwise. Always, of course, subject to fluctuations in oil futures and whatnot and headline risk. QRTEA, I mentioned this one last week. A few people on Twitter have mentioned this one. Cool option action, got that interesting catalyst pointed out by somebody else. Insider buying, nice support at this 20 and change level, broke out from a falling wedge, generated a vol stop buy signal today, still has a bit of moving average resistance, but once it can get over that 50 MA, there's nothing stopping it from moving up to 23, even 24, lots of air above. Symantec, yeah, somebody bought like 7,000 calls in this one today. There was a block of 4,200 bought for $1.28. The November straddle is pricing in a move to about 22.5. So if it can get over that 2050 hump, there's a moving average there. There's a couple of key bars there where the high of the day was approximately 2050. You could see this move also, the stock, make a move up to 2250. It's a bit of a headlining name, if I recall. So take it for what you will. It's not a top 5 play for me by any means, but 7,000 calls in a day is nothing to sneeze at. Then you've got ATIS. Lots of people talking about this one today. They loaded up on October 19 calls. They loaded up on the October 18 calls. There's prior open interest in the September 16 and 17.97 calls from a little while ago that was pointed out by another person on Twitter. So once again, if it can break over this short-term pivot resistance formed in July, which also coincides with the declining 200 MA, no reason why this couldn't make it to the next level of resistance, which is up above 20, and then finally next stop 21. Again, not my favorite kind of trade, but it does also, I just noticed here, have some really pretty resistance right below 1650. So if you like it, if you like these sort of short-term low point move trades, that way you can really leverage it and load it up with a bunch of contracts, you're more than welcome to. I'd prefer having one call moving 5 points than 5 calls moving 1 point, if you know what I mean. Then you get to AR. Again, somebody bought like 24,000 leaps in this one. The 25 calls, which are way, way out of the money. However, if you look back to, if you look at the sector that it's in, we're talking again oil and gas. So if oil futures make a move, this stock could move nicely. Possible acquisition target. It's in a nice part of the continent, nice oil-rich properties. There's a gap to fill above. Again, this is hard money. You got to make it above these moving averages first before I'd even think about taking a look at it. But when you look at a monthly view, it's been in vol stop sell status for years. So if it gets over this 22, 23 area, holy geez, this could be a beautiful long-term hold. Get to VXTX. This is another one of those names in the same competing for that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease indication. Madrigal had its move, and now it's looking for a next big leap up. Made its move in June, consolidated, pushed higher. Now it's making a wedge again, some recent option action. Short interest is a little elevated, so not sure if you'd be interested in that one. We got PBR, just tweeted about that one. We got Aurora Cannabis. I like it because it's cheap. Keep an eye on it. Meat Pharma. I don't have much time to talk about that. And SLS, a cheapie with a gap fill. Hope you like the list. And if you have any comments, feel free to tweet at me. make some money. And